Welcome to Research Debrief, the podcast where we aim to bridge the gap between the fitness industry and the latest science in under 20 minutes. All right, what's the topic of discussion for today, Luke?
Yeah, the article is called Male and Female Perceptions of Supervision During Strength Training. So this is published about a year ago, and I'm intimately familiar with the paper because I'm the lead author, and we're not going to talk about much of my research, but this is myself and a couple of my colleagues at Discover Strength, along with really well-known academic exercise scientists in the UK. So we got together and we did this project on, well, why do males seek out a personal trainer versus why do females seek out a personal trainer? And this is published in a really reputable scientific journal. And of course, the whole goal here was to understand what draws a male or a female into personal training. And the idea being, if we can increase the percentage of the US population, worldwide population engaged in strength training, that would be a good thing, right? A relatively small percentage of adults engage in strength training. Many of them seek out a personal trainer, and we'll talk about why. And if we can understand better as club operators, why do people choose to use a personal trainer and how do they get value out of personal training? Then I think we can design our training experiences, design our marketing, talk to our personal trainers, coach our personal trainers around all of this. Now, I'm using the terminology personal training, but the study really looks at supervision. So you can apply this to personal training, you can apply it to team training, small group training. I don't think we can go as far as kind of classic group exercise. This is definitely not a study looking at a group exercise class of 40 to 70 participants. It's one-on-one and small group training. So that sets the stage on the paper, Rachel.
Okay, wonderful. Very relevant to our audience. So yeah, go for it. What are some of the key takeaways?
Yeah, so let's talk about what they're looking at. So in reviewing the literature, the authors highlighted key characteristics of supervision to be a few elements. So when we say, what do you value out of supervision? Here's the different elements. So the first one is technical coaching. So this is correcting or maintaining client technique for an exercise, providing feedback on performance. So we're calling that technical coaching. The next one is effort, right? So this is increasing or maintaining sufficient effort level from the client to obtain a desired adaptation. The third one is motivation. So this is providing encouragement to complete a workout to promote enjoyment. The fourth one is program design, designing training programs and workouts, including exercise choice and load and progression. So again, think about that. Oh, I would hire a personal trainer because they could design my workout for me. The fifth one is safety. So this is spotting, technique correction to prevent injury, handing the client the actual weights that they're going to lift. Number six is accountability. So this is promoting adherence and engagement. Hey, I'm more likely to show up for my workout if I know I'm meeting somebody else. So those are the different elements they looked at. And those elements make sense, right? When we think about anytime we've been through a workout with a personal trainer or when we seek out supervision, those are generally the categories that we'd be interested in. So again, I'm going to go through them: technical coaching, effort, motivation, program design, safety, and accountability. Now, the way this study is done is it's a survey, right? There's 366 participants. They're all people who are engaging in regular personal training. So this is picture surveying all of your personal training clients and saying, why are you doing this, right? And then trying to understand what did they value. And if you're ready for it, Rachel, let's go through what they valued.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Now, what's fascinating is males and females valued supervision for very different reasons. So let's walk through a few of these. So overriding responses, technical coaching, all right? 90% of males and 90% of females responded this was very important or essential, okay? So we definitely want technical coaching. Effort-based coaching, so making sure you're pushing me hard enough. 94% of males and 91% of females said this was important or it's essential. Program design, 90% of males and 91% of females said this was important or essential. So we're not seeing more confidence from a male or a female that, hey, I could do the program design myself. Now, I think here's where it gets a little interesting. Motivation or encouragement. 75% of males said they really needed that. It was important. 85% of females said it was important. So a male is saying, well, no, I'm already motivated. I don't need someone to motivate me. Accountability, 79% of males said it was important. 75% of females said it was important. So very similar. And then safety, 78% of males said safety was really important for them, and 92% of females. So we see a pretty big gap between males and females on safety. Females are saying, I value safety even more. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some of the specific questions, we see a divergence in how males and females are answering these questions. And I get a chuckle out of some of these responses. So one of the questions is, my technique would always be good even without supervision. All right. 62% of males responded that they disagreed or strongly disagreed. So my technique would always be good even without supervision. 62% of males say, I disagree with that statement. My form would probably be pretty poor, right? 70% of females said that they strongly disagree with that statement. So the females were saying, I need supervision to make my form or keep my form really, really, really solid. One of the conclusions here is that males tend to really think highly of themselves when it comes to exercise, is what we find out in this paper, is that males were like, oh, no, my form is generally pretty good, right? Okay, so the next one is, my effort level would always be high, even without supervision. 58% of the males disagree with that. So 69% of females disagree with that. So what they're saying there is females are just a little bit more vulnerable, saying, yeah, I don't think I would work as hard unless I had a supervisor, a personal trainer in front of me, where more males, not a high percentage, but more males are saying, no, I would push myself just as hard. And if you've personally trained both males and females, I think it's every personal trainer, every strength and conditioning coach I've ever communicated with for the last 25 years, females unequivocally push harder than males do. But of course, males perceive that they are working harder or that they don't need someone to push them harder, which I think is interesting. I dislike it when my personal trainer pushes me too hard. So again, these responses are disagree. 81% of males disagree and 71% of females disagree or strongly disagree. So frankly, what we're hearing from clientele is that they like it when their personal trainer pushes them extremely hard. And males are saying that more than females are saying it, but overwhelmingly, both groups are saying it. And we'll just go through a couple more key questions. I would feel confident to track and program my own workouts without a personal trainer. 58% of males disagree with that, okay? And 79% of females disagree with that. So females are saying, I definitely want professional to program my workout. So those are some of, I think, kind of the interesting responses where we're definitely seeing divergences in why people value their personal training. So let's get to some pretty big summary statements here, if that's okay, Rachel.
Yes.
Okay, a couple of the qualitative responses. I've become very attached to certain trainers, just like a dentist or a doctor. So one of the big themes they pull out here is the theme of the personal relationship and professionalism. And that's just one of the comments that they pulled out. I've become very attached to certain trainers, just like a dentist or a doctor. So that was a theme that continued to emerge in this paper across the 366 subjects or participants. Another, as a 75-year-old male, I strongly believe that without regular supervision, my quality of life would not be what it is today. So we just have a few of kind of the quantitative, hey, this is really valuable for me. This is some of the benefit that I'm receiving. The weakest score of all of the research was accountability. Most participants here said, I'm still going to strength train without a personal trainer. Now, there might be a bias here. The people in the study are using personal trainers. Maybe they're highly motivated. We should be aware of that as club operators. People that are already engaged in personal training, they might be more committed as a whole. And so, therefore, their responses would reflect that, hey, if I didn't have a trainer, I'm still going to show up for my workouts. I'm just not working with a trainer. So I'll get to their summary statement. Our data suggests that males place greater importance on supervision for technical coaching and less importance on safety and enjoyment as characteristics of supervision during strength training compared to females. However, the data also suggests that males have a self-confidence that they are more capable of tracking and programming their own workouts and maintaining sufficiently high effort and quality of technique. So again, this is all perception. This doesn't mean this is reality. This is perception. And that matters for us as club operators because we want to be able to market the value of personal training and what personal trainers have to offer to both males and females. And so in order to do that well, we probably have to know what a male and female actually values. So that was a key take-home message. I'm not suggesting that a male is actually better at those things. The male just feels like they are better at those things. I think
It's
that
their perception.
yeah, exactly. That's their perception. And I happen to, in my personal experience or my professional experience, I disagree with that. I don't think males know how to program better. I don't think males necessarily work harder. I don't think any of that, but that's the male's perception. And that's important for us, I think, from a marketing standpoint to know how to communicate with a prospect.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting, especially in light of artificial intelligence and its ability to help personalized marketing. This kind of information opens up all of these possibilities for how clubs can get hyper focused and personalized in regards to how they target, men versus women with their personal training programs. But yeah, what other takeaways do you have, Luke?
Yeah, okay. So I'll wrap how they talk about the value of supervision as a whole. All participants reported favorably regarding their physiology and adaptation to strength training, including an analogy to medical professionals, doctors, and dentists. Based on the overwhelming body of literature supporting the health benefits of strength training, this comparison seems justifiable, and personal trainers and strength coaches should consider the importance and positive health implications when forging a trainer-trainee relationship. So what they're saying here is we should probably be looking at strength training exercise and the medical or health protective benefits associated with it. Because our consumer is looking at strength training as medicine, and clinically we know that it is. And so therefore they're looking at the provider, in this case, the personal trainer, analogous to a doctor or a dentist. Now, when I read that, I think, wow, well, what can we do as a brand to make sure we're continuing to position this person as a healthcare professional, right? Our industry has been so connected to sport over time. And I think one of the things this paper is saying is, well, no, I don't want the personal trainer to be positioned as maybe a coach. And I don't want it to be connected to how we thought about coaches, but instead I look at my personal trainer more as one of the healthcare providers that I'm using. So I think that is fascinating. And none of that was my spin on it. That's literally what the paper is saying is we're looking at our personal trainer more like a doctor than anything else. Finally, we encourage strength coaches and personal trainers to engage in the findings of this research to strengthen their understanding of client motives and sex differences, placing particularly importance on the motives of females who are underrepresented as engaging in strength training. I think that's maybe my final take-home message is the percentage of females that are engaged in strength training is still lower relative to males. And one of those reasons, we've mentioned it before on the podcast, and this paper goes into it, is perceived complexity. And one of the things that a personal trainer overcomes is this perceived complexity because the personal trainer is taking care of the programming for the participant, of course.
Wonderful. All right. Well, anything else for our audience?
I think that's it. I think this paper is worth reflection to think about how are we marketing to our consumer? How are we communicating the value of personal training? Are we speaking with our trainers about the value that you provide? When we shared this with all of our staff, many of them were surprised that, oh, I didn't even realize that I didn't realize that my client looked at that element as providing value. Sometimes a personal trainer thinks, well, I'm providing programming and that's really important, but I didn't realize these other benefits were perceived benefits by the client that I'm working with.
Yeah, this information was new to me too. Expertise, motivation, program design, those are just elements I hadn't considered. So
Yeah.
great to know.